Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Unreadable Update week number 8, something like that.
We
Is
don't
this number
know.
8? I think it's number 8.
Let's call
Anyway,
it 8, and then
we'll
if we
call it.
repeat ourselves, we will apologize later. We don't
Yeah,
know. It's 8.
I'm pretty sure. Anyway, we are up to how many words are we up to? Since you can see the document, how many
I
words are we up
can
to?
see.
47
We
something?
are, yes, 47,730 to be exact. So,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
Yeah.
Almost
Yeah.
48,000. Okay.
I know.
Wow.
I know. It's
Well
very
on
exciting.
our way to our supposed goal of 70,000, although we may be a little north or south of that. I'm not sure exactly yet.
Yeah. I'm not sure
Um,
either. We've got a few more chapters to write
yeah,
for
with the pacing of things. So we're on chapter 21 and 22.
sure.
So we kind of left off. Where did we leave off in 20? With
So
Rianne?
yeah, they rescued Harper-ish. And I say ish just because that was a bit of an interesting, horrific experience with Rianne. And so they're off trying to figure out where, there's if there is another deck of cards. If so, did Connors have them? But what they find is that, they are going to have to wait till nighttime to really be able to look where they want to look. And so until then, it's like, well, we need some downtime. And at this point, this has a lot to do with pacing as well, because we have been going, and we really haven't addressed the elephant in the room, which is this attraction that Westbrook and Harper have with each other, and also the history that they have. And so we needed kind of a beat to slow down, to have a moment where they connect emotionally. So it's not just action, 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 but so that we can delve deeper into the emotional aspects of their very loaded history, not just with what he did to get her fired, but also through high school and things that they never shared with each other, where, there may have been or could have been opportunities for a very sweet friendship, but they read each other wrong in high school. And so it's kind of a fun thing to look at and unpack a little bit, some unrealized feelings and dreams and thoughts and emotions, and things that Westbrook really didn't know when it came to how Harper viewed him, and the way that Harper didn't know that Westbrook viewed her. And some of it, I think they didn't even realize about themselves, like their feelings, and they're just discovering that. And so we've been able to have some really cool moments that were necessary, and slow the pacing down just a bit, not in the sense that we're taking any tension down, because we're not. The tension is still there, but the pace of it and the action and the emotional overhaul is a little different. It's focused on something different. So we've got this moment of quiet before it's all going to start up again. But did you enjoy writing
Mm.
that scene?
Oh yeah, what I really enjoyed about this particular beat is, first of all, that we did need to slow down. Like, we've had only a few slow moments really in the book where they've had a chance to reflect on anything. And they've usually been individual, not them together. Where they be each individually saying, "Hey man, maybe I'm attracted to this guy, I'm not sure, but this is really messed up timing. Look at all the messed up stuff he did, or look at all the messed up stuff she did. And what are we going to do about that? And how are we going to handle this?" And so it's been very kind of frantic because that's been the nature of like what's happening. And so it was interesting this time to slow down and go, okay, what happens when they're together in this moment, kind of forced together and forced to say, how do you feel about me, how do I feel about you, and then realize, hey, we do have some feelings and some stuff to unpack here, but now is not the time. Like, we've got to go break into this, apartment and find these cards, and hopefully that's a way out of this. And there's some moments of despair, when Miles is saying, "I'll protect you, Harper, no matter what happens with this," and she says, "Who's going to protect you?" And he thinks, "Who is going to protect me? Maybe no one." Maybe I'm toast on this deal too, because I'm part of this family, I'm part of this deal, and I may not come out of this unscathed. So I found that to be it was great to write that moment, to give us and the readers an understanding that this is like, there's a lot at stake here. And even if they really do like each other, how they're going to make it work after all of this other stuff that's happened is, if they're going to be able to make it work at all, is really a big question, you know? So, like, what are they going to go back to? What's next? You know?
Yeah. Well, and I hadn't really considered that for Westbrook. I just sat there thinking, nah, he doesn't have too many worries because he's on the good side. But bringing down his family means he loses everything, but also bringing down his family means that there's a very good chance he could bring himself down too and incriminate himself in ways that, even though he's, because he's seen stuff, he
Yeah.
knows things, he's been accessory to some things. And so it's either
Well,
way is
yeah.
not great.
And interesting that if he, not even bringing himself down necessarily, but just the fact that, like, who's going to hire you after that? How do you enter the job market? Yeah, you've got a degree and you say, I ran this hotel. Oh, yeah, which one? Yeah. Oh, the one filled with scandal and money laundering. Yeah, and I'd really like to run your hotel now, too. I'm sure that you would, Mr. Westbrook. Why don't you just show yourself out? That's a really tough job interview as far as
Yeah,
like what do you do next? And but for Harper, like she has a career, and technically this could save her career.
it
This
could.
could be
Yeah.
like, hey, I was right the whole time. And look, now this investigative journalism thing played out, and guess what? I
Mm.
win.
Yeah.
And that could be the answer for her too. So it's interesting that each of them has potential future, but it's all contingent on this coming out well for both of
Right.
them. If they
Right.
don't find this deck of cards, if they don't figure out what this tattoo means, both of them could be just wandering in the wilderness.
Yeah.
Westbrook in real danger, you know? So that's the other interesting aspect of it, I think, is that it's like I hadn't really thought about the future until I think just a little ways back when I was writing and thinking about like what's Westbrook gonna do? Like even if
Uh-huh.
he wins, what's he gonna do? And if he loses, what's he gonna do? And then if Harper loses, yeah, she's in a bad way. But if she wins, actually she might be okay. She might need a protective detail for a couple years, but she'll be all
Yeah.
right. Um,
Exactly.
so
Well,
it's interesting because of some of the ideas that, of course, that I have and that we have for the future of this book and potentially series.
mhm.
We can there's some conjecture that we can make there. You know what I mean? But like it's like, well, okay, but now that means it has to come out kind of a certain way, or that's not going to work. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah. Well, and Westbrook has this. I mean, he is the reason that her career went.
yeah.
But he's also now becoming the reason that it might actually resuscitate. And I don't know. I think she's got to sit there and really decide, is getting back her old job what she needs? It's what she wants, but does she really need
Hmm.
that, or does she need something more with Westbrook as a partner?
Yeah.
And not just not really personally, but professionally. What could they accomplish together? So
Yeah. There's kind of a combination of both here, and that's what I really like about this story and the way that it's coming out. And I love the way their personalities, contrast, but also work really well together.
yeah,
And it's so I've loved the fact that like even when I've written romance in the past, it hasn't necessarily been slow burn like this, where it's like we're getting to know each other through these terrible circumstances, and actually we really like each other and we think this might work. I mean, that's a different take and a different approach for me than I've had in the past. So I'm just kind of excited about the whole thing.
no, it lends itself to a lot of really good romantic building. So much of it really with steamy romance is very heavy on the physical, and so as a steamy romance author, I have found it sometimes difficult to find that balance between the physical and the emotional depth that you need to make those relationships believable. But slow burn is some people find it harder, but I always find it easier because
Hmm.
my favorite thing to do when writing is the emotional connection. And I know that
Hmm.
readerships with steamy romance have certain expectations, so I'm trying to meet those in some respects. But for me, knowing that the expectation is not always so physical, that it could be a slight touch. And oh gosh, Asian films do this so well, by the way. If you watch any K dramas, you will see the
Oh,
slow burn and the way in which like a tiny gesture, like holding a hand, is like huge. It's such a huge emotional payoff. I've never seen anybody do it better than those K dramas, those Koreans, man, those dang Koreans. They got it down.
it's
But the
true.
slow burn is great, and so this is fun to explore because it's almost like you're not rushing into anything. You have time. You can't do it too slow, or it'll drive your readership crazy. But still,
Yeah.
it's been fun to do.
Well, and a part of that is because really, in this particular case, the action kind of adventure thing has taken the lead,
Yeah,
and the romance is the secondary subplot. I think that's the only reason we could get away with it. If this was primarily a romance, secondarily an action adventure, it'd have to be a different approach because by
it
now
would.
they'd be like, "Do it already, come on!"
Yeah,
But
exactly. Or at least a kiss by now.
yeah,
Midpoint at the very least, you need a kiss in there. And we're just,
yeah,
I think we're doing this where it's like, no, we'll do midpoint series if we do in fact do a series. Midpoint series. We're just going to work like it's episodic in nature in some respects. Just a little slow here and there.
exactly.
All the romance readers are like, dang it.
I know they're like, "Come on!" And maybe by the end of the book, hey, maybe by the end of the book something happens, and we move forward with the action adventure with the couple, and they've already
That's
got the
right.
relationship, and we just talk about
Yeah.
relationship things, so it's more romantic than romance,
Yeah.
I would say. But I
Who
either
knows?
way, there's other books for that. There's other books for that if that's what you want. But this is more of the, like Mr. and Mrs. Smith or, True Lies, where it's, just kind of the the relationship is developing as the
Uh-huh.
action develops as well. So
Exactly.
I'm really enjoying that. As much as I enjoy other types of romance as well, I think this one is this is the type of story that this has just end up being, and
Mhm.
I just kind of like that.
Yeah, and I don't think we planned that. I think we went into it thinking it was a romance, not an action adventure
Hmm.
slash romantic suspense. Yeah, but it just ended up being that, and that's
Yeah,
been fun. The way that it
yeah.
morphed, it's been fun.
Well, yeah, it's the story that the story is, and that's kind of what we talk about a lot. Is the story comes first, then the structure, and what comes after that.
Yeah.
And it, like I say, it's been really super enjoyable for me, and we're really rocking it. I can't wait to basically show you guys where we're taking things next,
Uh-huh.
and how this is going to end up because I think it's going to be an absolute blast, and I just can't wait till the final confrontations and all the fun stuff that's coming up in the climax. But then also, the climax of that romantic element, we'll have to feel out how that's exactly going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's going to be so much fun. Mm.
oh, well, thanks
I told
everyone
it,
for.
Jana. Jana does
I
this all.
know, like,
Ha ha ha.
something evil is afoot. But yes. But all right, well, we will wrap it up for this week. We will see you guys next week for episode 9, I think. And then we'll be talking about our next few chapters, and kind of by then we have a pretty solid idea about how we're going to wrap things up, but we'll have an even more solid idea how we're going to wrap things up, and we will go from there.
Yeah.
So, thanks everyone for joining us. We'll
We'll
see you
see you
next
guys.
time.
Bye bye.